Hey everyone, it's your girl E. I have tried to record this more times than not, so hopefully I can get this off. But I hope you're having a good day. I hope this message reaches you well. I love you, and let's begin. So I was having some thoughts today, and I was feeling a certain group of people, and I wanted to come chit chat with you for a sec. And if this resonates, I hope it reaches you when you need to hear it. There's something that's been holding you back. Like, there's something that you've been wanting to do, but you've been holding back from it. Some of us, I'm going to speak for myself, for example. I feel like I'm coming out of a period of time where there were so many things that I was scared to imagine for myself. And that fear was coming from a place that didn't want to fail, like that didn't want to, somehow I didn't even want to try, because the thought of trying and failing was like crippling, like it would cripple me to think about trying something and it not working out and what that could mean. And, me spiraling and going down a rabbit hole of thoughts that, I've talked about before that, just held me back from my full potential, right? And I kind of feel like that's still like, I feel it in, I guess, like the collective. I feel like there are some people that are still going through this and still trying to work through this. And the reason why I use the term work through this is because it's definitely not something that changes overnight. And I don't want you to think like one day you're going to wake up and you're going to be like, oh my God, yes, I'm just going to do the thing. I mean, maybe you will. But what used to happen with me is that I would do that. Like, I would just get up and be like, F it. Like, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to put myself out there and do the thing, right? And what would happen is that those feelings would be like, I'd be doing the thing, but I'd be so uncomfortable doing it, right? And because I was so uncomfortable, because I wasn't used to the role, the position, the new change, the timeline jump, I would scare away from it because it just felt like too much resistance, right? It felt like maybe I shouldn't be doing this because there's so much resistance when I do it, right? But I feel like I want to sneeze. Hold on, y'all. Okay, definitely glad I didn't sneeze in your ear, but yeah. Yeah, so there would be so much resistance that I would feel, and because of that, I would just be like, maybe this is not something that I want to do, because for me, I would try to take the path of least resistance often. Like, if it felt like too much resistance, too much emotion, too much of anything, I would kind of like scare away from that thing and run away from the thing. And it could have been something that I really wanted to do. At times, even like, it's coming through that for some of you, maybe you tried to do the thing before. Maybe you tried to, see yourself doing it before, and you imagined doing it, but the way you were doing it wasn't conducive to who you are, especially now, who you are now as a person, now that you've grown, now that you've, changed. You don't see yourself doing things the way you used to, but that doesn't mean that the time isn't now for you to try that thing again in a different way. Like, it's always good to pivot, and it's always good to redirect yourself. Maybe you don't do that job in this way. Maybe you do it in another way. Maybe you reimagine a way to make your art or to express yourself, or project into this world, So I just want to let you know, like, this is the time. There's a strong pull towards, especially because this is the year of the fire horse, 2026. This year is for momentum, movement, and sometimes you have to just even when you feel uncomfortable, because we were talking about that icky, that way you feel like when you're uncomfortable, you're doing something new for the first time. It feels crazy. It feels like, what am I doing? Can I do this? And you got to just keep pushing, push your way through those barriers. You understand? Like, don't allow those barriers to, because that's what I used to do. I used to allow the barriers, or how I felt about the newness of what I was doing, to compromise the entire thing. So sometimes, like I said, I would rush into it, get there, start it, feel away, pull back, judge myself, ridicule myself for pulling back, for not doing enough, for not moving forward. Maybe it's been some time. Maybe I'm scared to even jump back into it. All these feelings and emotions getting in the way of the actions. You understand? So then the action just never makes it to reality anymore, and you jump off of that timeline that you were putting yourself on. Because it's like it's like I'm seeing like a conveyor belt, and I see someone like jumping off and jumping on, like, or like a treadmill. Someone just like not wanting to be on it and just like, oh no, I'm scared. And then they get back on the treadmill and they move for a little bit, and they're like, no, I can't do it. And they jump off, So it's the same thing. I had to learn how to push past a lot of my fears. I did a lot of that in 2025. I'm also seeing sources showing me someone building. Like, I see that a large part of this collective has been gathering supplies needed to build whatever it is they're supposed to build this year. And I feel like some of us that were gathering those supplies, whether those supplies were sorry, there's a lot coming at me. Whether those supplies were actions that we did in the past, lessons that we had to learn in the past, spiritual gifts that we had to develop, bring it into the now, into the present. So I see a lot of that, and I see a lot of people feeling defeated because they didn't realize they were in the gathering stage. Like, I see a lot of you not realizing that you were being prepared for something, and that now I'm seeing like now I'm seeing like swords being molded in the fire. Yeah, I'm seeing swords being molded in the fire, and maybe the fire was, of course, the fire was hot. The fire, took things away from you, gave you new things, gave you new shape, gave you new form, gave you the ability to withstand what will be coming at you in the future, so that you prepared for it. But you saw that as some kind of maybe punishment, or maybe you saw that as like something bad, like things weren't ever going to get better for you. But you have to choose the better. You have to choose and want it. You have to reach out and grab the exact timeline that you want. You have to craft it. Just like that sword in the fire, you have to sculpt it. You have to make it what you want it to be. You have to stand on your own and lean on your own power. But that was then, and this is now. This is the time that you use everything that you have, everything that you've collected so far. Your foundation is built. Your foundation is built. It's built already. All you need to do now is focus on the structure. What does it look like? Bring it into reality. Bring it in. You know, a lot of it is ego. A lot of it is our egoic body saying, oh man, no, like, I've already tried that. I'm not doing it again. Why should I waste my time? But it's not a waste of time if it gets you to where you want to be. My father didn't say, my dad used to say something, and he didn't say a lot of good things or a lot of like true things, but the one thing he used to say that always stuck with me was, the possibility does exist. And I think a lot of us sometimes forget that. We forget that there is a possibility where we get everything. There is a possibility that there is a reality in which we get everything that we want. Maybe it doesn't come through how we thought it would, because it's just our mind's eye. We're bringing it forward. And sometimes when things come forward, it doesn't always look like what we thought it would. A lot of us can relate to that. We thought that our lives would look differently when we were younger, right? We imagined things to look differently, to feel differently. And maybe it kind of feels like you thought it would, or kind of looks like you thought it would, but not really. Or maybe not at all. And that's okay, because we are co-creating with Source. So we don't get everything that we want because we can't see the bigger picture here. Some of us can't. Some of us cannot see the bigger, especially like there's many times where I look back into my past and I see things and I'm like, oh, if I would have only known then what I know now, things would be different. I would have made a different choice, or I would have made different decisions. So a lot of the time, Source, Universe, Divine, they're just trying to put us in alignment with what we need. It's almost like trying to lead a person that can't see, you know? They can only feel their way through things. And yet your hand is on their back and you're guiding them through the way, but they're still trying to feel around in the dark, you know? But they know they're getting there. They know they're getting closer to their destination because they have that guidance. And it's the same thing with us. You know, it's the same thing with us. So sometimes we have to let go of what we think we know. You know how many times what I thought I know held me back? Because I thought I knew something and I really didn't. Like, we really sometimes are too smart for our own goods. Too smart for our own good. Too smart to the point where we're holding ourselves back. Too smart to the point where we're talking ourselves out of our literal dreams. All because we don't have the confidence to go forward. There's been a lot of time for me where I didn't have the confidence to go forward. But sometimes you gotta fake that shit until you make it. You gotta fake it until you make it. Sometimes you gotta put the clothes on before you get the job. You don't walk into the interview raggedy. No. You walk in like you already got it. Because if you believe it's yours, then it's gonna be. Even if it's not at that specific place and location you thought it was gonna be at. You might have wanted a specific job and you're like, damn, I want it at this company, at this place. And Source is like, yeah, I know that's what you want, but that's not what's best for you. You're still going to get the job, but it's going to be, 2 years from now when you've learned X, Y, and Z that can help you be a, better team player or whatever the case may be, But a lot of the time we have to give ourselves that grace and give ourselves that, a lot of the times, like I say, we put ourselves in boxes. People have put us in boxes for so long. Down here on this earth's plane, we start eventually doing the same thing through ourselves. People hurt us, we start hurting ourselves. People talk down to us and talk negatively to us, and we start doing the same to ourselves. Because as within, so without. As without, so within. Like, this world that we live in mirrors a lot of things back to us, regardless of if we want to acknowledge that or not. A lot of us don't. A lot of us are willing to see it. We see it. We see the mirrored things back to ourselves, and we're like, whoa, what is that? What is that? But that source showing you yourself, showing you where you're going down the wrong path, asking you to choose a different way, trying to guide you on a different path. It's up to you to listen. So I love you. I hope this message reaches you well, and until we speak next time.